and welcome back to my channel. My name is Eleanor and this is going to be a recently read video where I talk about some books I've read over the last couple of months. Some of these might be familiar to you because I have read them in vlogs and discussed my thoughts in there, but I thought I would do a kind of one-stop shop place where I talked about some of my favourites that I've read over the last couple of months. I've only read 16 books so far this year, which is great, not my usual number, but I've selected a few for discussion today. The first book I want to talk about is The Hollow Places by T. Kingfisher. I did another buddy read with Faye from Books and Chocoholic, and we love T. Kingfisher so much. I really related to the main character, Cara, in here. So much of her inner dialogue and her inner thoughts and her hobbies and just her way of being really resonated with me. And it's been a long time since I feel like I've connected with a character so well. I wouldn't say I was recently divorced myself, but there's so many things about this book that really worked for me. This is a horror, and it was so aesthetic and so good. A lot of this book is set in like a kind of creepy, eclectic shop, and there's lots of taxidermied things in there and lots of skulls, and it really makes sense when someone on the back related it to Pan's Labyrinth, and I think that fits the vibe of this novel very well. I didn't know where it was going to go. The horror aspects, the creepiness and the atmosphere and eeriness you got from this worked so well, and I thoroughly enjoyed the kind of story that we went along with these characters. And yeah, I just thought it was a really smashing horror. I thoroughly enjoy any buddy read I do with Faye, and this was another goldmine. 5 stars for me. To keep on the track of my love for Faye, we read Tamare by Naomi Novik in the last couple of months as well. We started a read-along series that I've been discussing on this channel, and we were doing live shows. For me, we've just started the 3rd book in this series, and this is such a fun world and series. It's a world not dissimilar to ours, set during the Napoleonic Wars, but what if there was dragons about? And there's not just a navy and there's not just an army, but there's also the aerial corps who ride dragons. And if that is not a fabulous hook for a fantasy series, I don't know what is. We're thoroughly enjoying our buddy read along of this series, and there's Discord links in the description if you want to join in, and I'll leave links to our live show discussions of these books. But I've just had a fabulous time reading this series with friends, and it's been great. And I would thoroughly recommend this series if you're looking for dragons, if you're looking for historical fantasy. It's very well written, and I would say if you've read any of Naomi Novik's recent works where she does a lot of retellings, her narrative style is very different. So maybe if you didn't like that, you would like this. I wouldn't write it off completely if you didn't vibe with her writing style in some of her standalone more recent works that are retellings. I also rated this 4 stars because it's very much the first book in a series. I think I will rate the overall series very highly, but maybe the books won't individually get that. We'll see. I've only read 2 so far. Another book I absolutely loved that I read recently, rated at 5 stars, I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Hartman. This is a translated book from French by a Belgian author, and it was written in 1995, and this is like dystopian slash post-apocalyptic and so good. But I would say don't let that put you off if you're not used to reading dystopian or post-apocalyptic. Don't let that put you off. This is a slow, introspective and very I can't say the word contemplative book. It's not about the external happenings, it's about the internal happenings and the internal change and struggle and sense of being. I don't want to say too much about this because it is a novella, it's like 208 pages long, and it'd be very easy to spoil what goes on. But essentially, a group of women are in a bunker, they've been there for a very long time, and your main point of view is a young woman who has been there since she was a child, and she does not have any memories of the before times. She's only been in that bunker, has only experienced some male guards come in and oversee the women trapped in this cage, and living in that situation. And it's just about a sense of identity and about knowing your history, and it was just fabulous. It's one of those books that is going to stay with me for the rest of my life, and I'm going to think about It was fantastic. I can't rave about it enough. And to know that it was written in 95 and it feels quite timeless, I think is such a credit to the author. And yeah, you need to read it. A very, very short book I read was Kingdom of Needle and Bone by Myra Grant. This is only 128 pages, so another very short read. But I actually listened to this on audiobook because it was on Everand, and it was like a 3-hour long audiobook, so I listened to that one day. This is so good. It is about a pandemic, so if you're not interested in reading about pandemics, very understandably, know that going in. This was very, very good. I did not see the way things went. I think because it was such a short read, you're not really anticipating anything because you're just like, it's so short. What could this be like? But yeah, it's about a pandemic. It's about siblings having different roles within this. Like one's a doctor, one's a kind of scientist and works in a pharmacy and things like that. And yeah, definitely check out the trigger warnings. But it's a very, very short read and is very, very good. I rated this one 4 stars. The ending was just so good. And the next book is Mislaid in Parts, Half Known by Shauna Maguire. This is the 9th book in the Wayward Children series. I really enjoy this series. Some books are hit better than others. I think I rated this one 4.5 stars. I really enjoy reading these novellas via audiobook. The narrators are great, and I think because they're novellas, they just work really well as an audiobook. It's not my favourite in the series, it's not my least favourite in the series, but I just thoroughly enjoy this world, I enjoy the concept, and I just really enjoy how well Shauna Maguire dips her toes into very, very sensitive topics in each book. She's covered such an array of things, and I think I wouldn't say these books are geared toward young people at all, but you know, most age ranges read out with their age bound anyway. But I think for like teenagers and young adults, I think it's so important to have representations of themselves, their different ways of life and their different struggles and things like that, to have that represented in books and little short novella concept. And a lot of the time it's not really relevant to the plot, it's just who these characters are and it's just part of them. I really, really enjoy that and appreciate that about Shauna Maguire as a writer. And yeah, I just love this series, love this world, and this was another great addition to the series. And next, I'm going to briefly mention my 2 rereads that I've had so far this year. And the first one was The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. This is the first book in a quartet called the Wayfarer series, and this is science fiction, kind of slow meandering. What's it called? It's kind of cozy sci-fi. It's lower stakes. It's more chilled, and it's about the relationships of the characters. There is a plot. I wouldn't read a book if there wasn't a plot at all. There is a plot, but it's not the focal point. It's very much about these characters, about the different alien species that you meet, the different cultures, how these people and beings meld together and become friends, and it's just a very soft, gentle, meandering sci-fi, and I just love this one. This is my favourite in the series, and I don't know if I'll continue a reread of the rest of the books in the series right now, but I thoroughly enjoyed just picking up this first book again and flying through it in basically 2 sittings because it was just so lovely to be in this space again. And my other reread was The Gift, also known as The Naming in America, by Alison Croghan, also the first book in a quartet. This is a young adult high fantasy, but I would say it doesn't really feel young adult. I would totally recommend this to adults everywhere. I did read it as a young person, but the main characters in this and the main struggle in this world is not for young people in that sense wholly anyway. I love this world and this series so much, and if you also subscribe to Abby from Abbey of Helena, which I would definitely recommend you do so, this is a big part of her whole personality, and I love that we first bonded over this series when we discovered that we were both lovers of it. I really love revisiting this series again and again. I resonate with the characters so much, and I just love how accessible it feels as a high fantasy. I would say I've come away from reading a lot of high fantasy as an adult. I read more science fiction, and I don't know if it's just books coming out lately in the high fantasy world are so chunky and dense, and I just struggle to read them. I struggle to get into them. So I don't read them as much as I would perhaps like, or I would have perhaps done a long time ago. But I love just how accessible these books are, and they're not as big, and they just read so easily. So this is always a favourite of mine to reread. You're following Myrad, who is discovered to be a bard, which in this world is a magical person, and she gets taken on an adventure against the evil one that is taking over this world. And there's like elemental magic in here, and there's just the power struggle between good and evil. And on top of that, it's just the classic kind of high fantasy where you're spending lots of time on horseback and you use swords, and it's just a trek across the world. And I would just thoroughly recommend this series. It's really timeless to me, and I wish more people read it. It deserves to have a place in the Hall of Fame of high fantasy. And then I'm going to refuse to be embarrassed by this, but I will give an honourable mention to the first 4 books in the Planet Barbarian series by Ruby Dixon. This is adult sci-fi romance, and definitely not for everyone. If you are an avid lover of all the rest of my content on this channel, you're probably not going to want to read this, and I wouldn't recommend it to you. This is proper adult romance. I got recommended it by my sister. They read the books, the first few anyway. There's 16 now. There's no way. I think I've read 4. I think that's me. That's me done. Yeah, it was just good fun. I've been struggling with reading about the last few months, so yeah, I read them on my Kindle, and it's good to have books that are palate cleansers to you. And for you, that might just be in amongst all the fantasy and science fiction you read. You might sometimes read crime fiction, or you might read non-fiction, or you might dip into some young adult books or some children's books or graphic novels. And everyone has that thing that is a kind of palate cleanser to them, and it's something that kind of revitalizes your love of reading and just switches things up for you. And these books did that. They've kind of given me the spark again, and I flew through the first 4, and it was just a good time, and I'll move on. And that's kind of it, really. And it was just wanted to mention it in here because you shouldn't be made to feel ashamed about what you read. I've seen a lot of discourse online lately that people shouldn't be reading romance or erotica or things like that, and it's like everyone should read what they want to read. Everyone should enjoy the media that they want to enjoy. It's not hurting anyone else. It's not rotting anyone else's brain, and it's not harming the publishing industry. It's basically you do you, boo. So I just wanted to. That's me off my soapbox. So that's all the books I've read lately that I want to discuss in this short video. Let me know if you've read any of them. I want to have a discussion with you in the comments. I would love that. And as always, if you've got any book recommendations, I would love to hear it. I'm always looking for more things to sink my teeth into. Thank you for watching this video. Be sure to subscribe if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.